This is Brian Bates, co-chair of the Doney Park Timberline Fernwood Planning Committee, calling our June 2nd, 2022 meeting to order. And we'll begin with introductions of members of the committee. I'm Brian Bates. I've lived out here for a long time, and it's been an honor to serve as your co-chair. Let me go to Jim Clifford, please.
Jim Clifford, District 4 Planning and Zoning Commissioner, lived in Doney Park for a lot of years.
Thank you. Dave Browning.
Unmute, there we go. Yes, I lived here for about 15 years in Pioneer Valley, and we like it very much and want to continue to stay here.
Thank you, Dave. John Ruggles.
John Ruggles here. District 2 Planning and Zoning Commissioner. Been in Arizona for a bit over 51 years. That classifies me as a bit of a newcomer, I think, for some people. Anyway, that's enough.
Thank you, Jim. John, excuse me. Evelyn.
Evelyn Wani here, District 2. Have a good evening, everybody. This is going to be fun.
And who am I looking for? Bernice.
Hi, I'm Bernice Carver. I've lived here 45 years, very active in the community. Really want to keep Doney Park rural. That I'm sure a lot of the people that are on this call do. I just hope that we can make our policies so that they are in line with the large acreage, lower density. Keep our community the way it is, because once it's gone, it's gone. Thanks.
Thank you, Bernice. Let's see. Is Jessica with us this evening?
No, she's not. She's on vacation, and Kelly is standing in for Jessica.
Wonderful. Kelly, would you please read off the community folks that have joined us this evening?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Brian. So we have Sheila Walsh, Porphy Holguin, Ken Lorton, Doug Meyer, someone named Zelda, someone named Vicky, and someone named Crumweed. And then we have 3 phone numbers on the line. I believe Sheila identified herself as one of those.
And I can add to that. I know one of the callers was Alan Redford, and I don't know the third caller.
Can we get an identification of that third caller, please?
Linda Bradley.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you joining us. With that said, let's move on to our updates. Do we have any? Oh, public comment, of course. So for the community members, we will take 3 minutes per person. If you have something you want to share with us, please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and then share with us your concern. If you have trouble with audio, then please type a message in the chat to Melissa Shaw. Do I have any comments from our community members?
Is that when you get to talk? Looks like Doug Meyer has his hand raised.
Okay, Doug, go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Doug Meyer. I thought this would be a good time to definitely thank all of you, really. As I recall, this process started in the fall of 2019. Yeah. And the world was different. So really the level of commitment is very much appreciated, certainly from a member of the community, such as myself. And I don't think that does anywhere near the justice to all the time that you guys have put in, including all the members of the people from the county. So again, thank you. That doesn't do justice to your time. I do have one question for the P&Z members here, if they would care to comment at some point later in the meeting, if they have any specific ideas on things that the public can do for the P&Z hearing portion. Is there anything they would like to see from the public? If either one of them could speak to that, either John or Jim, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. Let me remind folks that if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. Do we have any other public comment? Let me real quickly honor Doug's request. Jim Clifford, do you have any suggestions for what people who are attending the P&Z meeting should concentrate on?
The number one thing is to be there, and be there in either support or voice any changes that you may want to see that we may have overlooked. And that is the biggest weight that I could say. If the public is there and speaks out, that is real good for all of the commissioners, not just John and myself, but all the P&Z commissioners will hear you and know that the public was involved in this. So that's what all I have.
Is this?
Hold on just a minute, Porfy, please.
Okay.
John Ruggles, do you have a comment that you wish to share?
Yes, I would just like to reinforce what Jim just said. The other thing that I think people should really be aware of, if you are in attendance, either electronically or hopefully in the future in person, at a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting or hearing is actually what it is, or at the Board of Supervisors for the same thing, that one of the things that has made an impression on me over the years is the fact that most people who serve on those two bodies have not made up their mind, and in a number of cases, what they have done and what they anticipated coming up with in terms of a decision has changed based on that public comment when people are there and speak out, either for or in opposition to something. So you get listened to, and that's the message I would like to give to everyone. In addition, make sure that you are informed about when the meetings occur, that it is important to go to the county website and take a look at the agenda center, because you can get the agenda and the times for every commission, the Board of Supervisors, and every committee that the county has on that site, and find out what is on the agenda and the date and the meeting times. And that'll help you get there and get your comments in.
Thank you, John. So, Porfy, I heard your voice come in. Did you have a comment as a community individual?
Oh, I was just wondering about this meeting. Is there one? This is the first I heard about it. So if he just mentioned that I could go to the county website and do a search.
Yes. You would go to the county website, look up planning and zoning.
Yeah.
And then there should be a posting there of the location, the time of the meeting.
Is one going to happen soon? Is that why you brought it up?
I don't know.
Okay.
Ryan, we'll talk about the schedule toward the end of the meeting, if that would help.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other community comments?
Mr. Bates, this is Jim
Yes,
Parks.
sir. Go ahead, sir.
I'm great. How are you, young man?
I'm doing quite well, sir. Did you call me young? Feels quite good because I'm not sure I am, but I hope you're doing well, sir. Is this Jim Parks?
I am. And I'm glad that you're doing well. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Would you have something you'd like to share with us?
I do, and this is off the subject, but a few, one of the last meetings, I was listening in with Vicky, and we had some folks that would like to stop truck traffic on Townsend Winona Road. Can I speak about that?
Melissa, I assume this is within the purview of our committee.
It's a 3-minute public comment period. So
yes,
go ahead and record your comments and we'll then go from there.
Please proceed.
Well, the only thing I had to say was, I agree with Jim Clifford that we need to really think about approaching the Board of Supervisors about this. The one thing that you can do, which is one of the things that they have done in town, is to encourage or make the truckers mute their Jacobs brakes. But I don't think that we need to stop traffic on that road because the FedEx folks have just put in a multi-million-dollar terminal on Loop Road. And the way that they have to get there is to go on Townsend Winona Road. They generally go from the freeway to Townsend Winona, and then take Townsend Winona to Loop. And then they go out to their terminal. Anyway, that's my comment. We need to allow those folks to do what they need to do. So anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us this evening. For those who are not aware, Jim Parks was the former supervisor representing District 4. Any other community comments?
Linda Bradley, Timberline Estates, 18 years in Flag. Just letting you know that I do not want any commercial businesses out here. We're to keep it rural. I just want to make sure I got that into you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Any other community comments? Hearing none, let's move on. And Linda, if you will mute yourself, please.
Okay.
Brian, do you see that next slide?
I see the site. It's review the meeting notes. It was covered by my picture of participants. So you all had a chance, hopefully, to review the meeting notes. I did earlier. I have no comments or corrections. Do any of the committee members have comments or corrections to the meeting notes from May 26th?
This is Bernice. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my meeting notes in my stacks. Let's see. In my comment, I'm not sure if it came across the way I wanted it to, that we should reconsider the allowing camping next to residential property in the forest. We discussed that the 2001 area plan did not allow camping or campfires within a half, or they urged the Forest Service not to do it.
Right, that is correct.
Right, and then some of the members on the committee felt like that we should allow people to camp next to residential property that borders forest lands. And I did not think that was a good idea then, because I live near forest land and I put out fires and had to call the fire department for people that have left fires at their campsites. And after the tunnel fire and all of us going through that, I just think that, you know, we don't see an end in sight to this drought that we have. And that's going to make our fire danger even worse. And I think if any time we do need more protection and more prevention for fire, it's now. Okay. So I want to, the way that was worded, it, I'm not sure if it came across if I was in favor of it or not in favor of it, but I'm in favor of not allowing camping or campers within 1/2 mile or more and next to Forest Service.
And that will come up later when we get to some of your comments. I remember my comment.
Right, that was in the notes though. That was in the notes from that last meeting.
Okay. Bernice, this is Melissa. Did you have a correction to the notes?
You know, I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the notes, and I remember reading that thinking I didn't come across the way that I really wanted to. So, well, or that note, I can't find it. Oh, when we talk about it, I'll find it by then.
Okay.
Because this is your item to approve the meeting notes.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Can you please read, Melissa, that comment that I made?
I need to minimize the screen and open those notes. So hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. This is during the second comment period. It reads, the committee should address the comments she submitted about limestone rock layers, supporting area ranchers, and the U.S. Forest Service allowing camping close to private land. I can share that screen. Hold on.
Yeah, I believe I recall reading that today, and I thought that was
and allowing. I didn't want to make it seem.
Well, we're recording what was said at the time, and I think that's a clear documentation.
Okay, and we will discuss it later, also, right?
Yeah, and your comment was about the U.S. Forest Service allowing camping close to private land. So I believe that's an accurate statement of what you were speaking.
Okay. I don't think that the U.S. Forest Service does that, but our area plan wanted to urge the Forest Service to allow.
Bernice, we're going to get to that later. So having clarified this, I move that we accept the meeting notes from May 26. All of those in favor, please react with a green light. If you are opposed, react with a red light. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 green ones. Am I missing any?
I think you have 6.
We have 6, Brian.
You have 6? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So the meeting notes have been accepted. And if we can move on, please, Melissa. So we're going to be reviewing the final comments that we have received from our most recent community event this evening. And what else? Let me take my yes off of there. Melissa, do we have anything else we need to cover before moving on here?
That's the main agenda item. And then we can, Brian, before I stop sharing this presentation, I had a couple of slides to help inform your discussion about the residential collective home policy LU8.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So would you like me to share that now or switch to the comments and come back to this? Okay.
Well, let me ask this real quickly, Melissa. Are we going to address that subject immediately, or are we going to address that in a few minutes?
That was, it depends on how you move through the comments, but that I think would have been the first topic addressed.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to look at the comment list first. So it does, we have to toggle back and forth.
If that's the first comment that we're addressing, let's go ahead and view your overview of the, how shall I say it, the collective residential.
Okay. Okay, it's just it's 3 slides. So, and then we can come back. I'll just need to toggle back to this.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. So the first slide I wanted to bring up is shows an excerpt right out of the zoning ordinance. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the one, what we call our land use table from chapter 2, residential land uses. And the point that I really wanted to make here is you can see how under this left-hand column are the land uses. So assisted living facilities, convalescent homes, and residential collective homes are kind of in one group. And you can see here that they're conditional uses for every residential zoning district in the county. Down here, the group home for the disabled is a separate type of land use categorized.
Could you define residential collective home?
We'll get that. Could you please? Yeah, just
Okay.
We'll get that. And yeah, thank you. If you could just go back on mute so we don't have background noise. And so the point here is the area plan would want to be consistent with the terminology in the zoning ordinance. So, you know, recognizing and following that term residential collective home is important. Otherwise, if there is a conditional use permit applied for a residential collective home, but the area plan does not recognize that term, then there's no nexus. So that's just why I wanted to show this slide. Okay. And then the next, yeah, sorry, Brian.
Melissa, real quickly, my understanding is that P means conditional use permit.
No, C is conditional use permit.
Correct.
A P without an asterisk is permitted by right, and a P with an asterisk means an administrative permit is required.
Administrative permit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yep. Okay, and then the next slide is as this policy is currently written, as you discussed last week. This is how the policy, the goal and the policy related to residential collective home is written. I'll just read it real quick for people who are on the phone. So the goal is written that a variety of housing opportunities exist for individuals and families. And then as currently written, that new policy reads, assisted living, convalescent homes, and residential collective homes should maintain the rural residential character of the area by not exceeding 10 residents per home. Extended public notice to nearby property owners for these proposed facilities should be customized based on the location for each proposal. Such facilities should be located on paved roads. So that's how you left it last week, with the understanding that we needed some more information to discuss it this week. And then there is a definition that you all looked at to put in the glossary. Residential collective home are facilities for living, sleeping, and sanitation, and may include facilities for eating and cooking for occupancy by other than a family. In Doney Park Timberline Fernwood, the number of residents are limited to 10 per home in a single family residential style facility. So that's how you left it last week. And then there were some comments that have come in. So I have reorganized this a bit and wanted to show you a proposal for a new format for this that might help to address some of the concerns that have been raised. So Brian, again, if you like, I can just read through this real quick.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the goal would remain the same. A variety of housing opportunities exist for individuals and families. And then the policy would actually then be broken into several sections. And the first section, assisted living, convalescent homes, and residential collective homes should maintain the rural residential character of the planning area by A, not exceeding 10 residents per home. B, the design of the facility should be a style and scale that complements and is compatible with the residential style of the neighborhood. C, locating such facilities on paved roads. D, residential collective homes are preferred to be located in the rural activity centers. E, mitigating potential impacts such as noise, traffic, and public safety. And then F, extended public notice to nearby property owners for these proposed facilities should be customized based on the location for each proposal. So that's all I had in terms of a suggestion for how to work this policy. And again, I can toggle back and forth, but if you like now, Brian, I can show the comment screen.
Let's go to the comments screen, please.
Okay. And the first set is Bernice's comments. I'm not sure if you want to start with these, Brian.
Oh, actually, what I'd prefer to do, since we just covered the residential collective housing, if it's acceptable by the committee, let's address that one first since it's fresh in our mind.
Okay, and that is Bernice's comment number 3.
Right.
Right there. Is that large enough to see?
It is for me.
Could it please be increased in size? Is it possible to do that?
How's that?
That's better, thank you.
So I can read Bernice's comment if you like.
Please do.
So the comment is the residential collective housing, convalescent housing, assisted living, and medical facilities should be limited in number as well as size. What if a developer purchased several lots and put RCHs on adjoining lots or subdivided a 10-acre parcel and requested rezoning for RCHs on 10 1-acre lots? I think we should go back to group homes in place of RCH. They are more fitting the character of the rural setting, have more restrictions, and are less apt to increase density. All the comments regarding RCH were against it. The area residents have spoken, they do not want increased density. I think we should not allow any more multi-unit housing or RCH. And the response that I had was, we just saw what my suggestion would be. You all had written a new policy number LU8 to address this, which is shown here. Sorry, it's not cooperating there. Okay. But going back to what I just showed, that would be my suggestion for addressing that concern.
Melissa, is it possible to show both the current committee, that's the LU8, our current committee policy, and then the one that was proposed, I'm not sure by whom, but the one that you read earlier that has the A, B, C, D, E?
So the one here is the one that we left with last week, the one on the screen. So let me see. You mean show them side by side?
If you can do it, if not, I think both of them cover many of the same topics, but the one that was proposed by either you or one of our committee members.
Yeah, it was, something that I had reworked based on the comments. Let me try to do this. I am on a laptop, so it's not quite as easy, I'll have to say.
Okay, well, if it doesn't work, just talk.
No, I'll try it.
Real quick, this is Evelyn. What these people are afraid of could happen. Wouldn't that only be able, the big townhomes and all this, which seems like it's what people are afraid could end up happening. couldn't that only happen on commercial property?
So an apartment is a different type of zoning, would require a different type of zoning. I'll go back to this other slide here.
So collective home wouldn't be considered an apartment building?
Oops, I'm sorry.
From what I understand, no. And I think that's where people are getting confused, if they think that collective home is going to be apartment or duplex or like what we're seeing in Flagstaff. And I think that people are not understanding that a collective home is one house that has 10 people in it for a particular reason, either convalescent home or a rehab or something like that. It's not like an apartment type thing. And I think that's where people are getting really, really confused, that it's not what they think it is.
And that's where, and I see there are a couple of hands up, Ryan, but that's where this policy would guide that development. Remember, they're all conditional uses.
Shouldn't there be a line for, you know, these 10 residents per home, and a home is per acre or per 2 acres? Or
I'd like to call a point of order here.
Oh, hold on. We've got too many
point of order
interrupting. Go ahead, John.
Was our last commenter a member of the committee?
I do not know. That's what I was going to ask myself.
She was not, so I agree with John's point of order. She is a community member.
Okay, so for the community member who is commenting, we appreciate your engagement, and we will ask for your public comments again at the end of our session here. Thank you, John. Jim, I see your hand is up.
Yes, and this is for clarification. Evelyn brought it up. An apartment building or a townhome community that is not owned by the residents is considered a commercial property if it is for profit for the owner of the apartment complex or the townhome or duplex. And that would have to be on a commercial property. A collective home are normally in a residence, and they do not get funding from the people who are staying there. It is, the monies are brought in from other sources to maintain those homes, similar to a mission, like our mission downtown. Those funds are donations to run the homes. That is not a commercial entity.
Thank you, Jim. I'd like to point out real quickly that these residential collective homes would be a home that has one kitchen and then 10 bedrooms, but perhaps a common area, you know, a living room and so forth. And so it would not be individual apartments. And I think that that was Evelyn's point. Let's see, Bernice.
Okay, I sent an email or with my notes with the link to what is residential collective housing. And the things that I came up with they were more like the residential collective housing around NAU and around Whole Foods and REI. And I'm concerned because these are allowed in residential zoning with a conditional use permit, but you know, 90% of our area is residential housing. They could proliferate. And I would really appreciate it, Melissa, if you could show that link that I put in my email and show pictures of the multi-unit housing, or actually the residential collective housing that looks just like apartment buildings.
Well, but if you're a residential collective home, my understanding is that there are like 10 bedrooms, or there might be 5 bedrooms of 2 people per room, or some combination, but that they are not individual apartments.
That's right, Brian. And what you're seeing here on the screen is a way to further clarify what that should be in Doney Park Timberline Fernwood. So they are not the types of apartment buildings that you see at REI and at the Hub and the Standards. Those are apartments. Yeah. Residential collective home is not an apartment. And residential collective home, that terminology, Bernice, if I could just finish for a second. That term is used around the world for many different types. And you're right, it's confusing. It's used to describe a lot of different styles of housing. But for your area plan, this is where using a different term, if you don't call out residential collective home and then a conditional use permit is applied for and you have nothing in your plan that addresses it, then there will be nothing for the Planning and Zoning Commission to reference in terms of how you want that to look in your area. If you've got, that's what my point was about being consistent with the zoning code term. So this is where you can actually specifically define how you want those to look in Doney Park Timberline Fernwood. They are not to be apartments. They are not the multi-story. The zoning code doesn't allow anything near the height of the buildings that you see in Flagstaff. Our maximum building height is 40 feet in a commercial zone. So, you know, that right there limits the size of it. So this, again, just to clarify, you know, if you don't address residential collective home using that term, then there's no nexus with the zoning code.
And
okay, we talked about limiting the size and the number at the last meeting, and we were going to talk about that this meeting.
And that's what these standards are proposed.
Yep.
I don't see a limit in size or height or number per area.
The height would be limited by zoning as any single family style residence. The list here is as clear as I can think of in terms of making sure that the style complement is as compatible in style and scale with whatever neighborhood it's in. Number D is actually suggesting that residential collective homes specifically are preferred to be located in the activity centers, which is, remember, those are to be your commercial areas. They already have commercial zoning in them. So this further suggests that those be located, are preferred to be located there. It calls out mitigating any potential impacts for noise, traffic, and public safety. So remember, this is not a zoning code. The zoning code already addresses the height and the lot coverage. You're going to have to, a property owner would have to address wastewater systems, which, as you know, just by the nature of your soils out there, is a limiting factor. So, absolutely. You know, and then not exceeding 10 residents per home is a pretty clear limit in terms of the size.
Brian?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, John.
Got my hand up here. I would like to just reinforce what Melissa has stated. The other thing that needs to be considered is the fact that residential collective home is in the zoning ordinance, and it is defined in section 6 of the zoning ordinance. Now, that being said, I have to plead guilty in kind of discussing a little bit of this with Melissa, and that is why she has gone to extraordinary lengths, I think, to come up with the suggested policy LU8 with paragraphs or sentences, phrases A through F. And the reason for this is that originally, and at the last meeting, I had proposed something as simple as saying, well, maybe they should be 1,200 feet apart like group homes. Well, in applying that to something like a collective home, that would be considered, I believe, quite arbitrary. So how do you evaluate where you put a collective home? Well, you've got a set of criteria here that are not in the zoning code, but are specific to Doney Park because of our rural setting here. So this gives the Planning and Zoning Commission the ability to look at it and say, well, we can consider something like that. It's part of something that any of these would trigger. But you've got much more specific criteria on which to evaluate this than is in the zoning code. And that is precisely what we need. We can't get rid of the term. It's in the zoning ordinance. So best that we address it here.
Okay. Thank you, John. We have the current policy, which Melissa had, yes, it's right there, LU8 as written, which is descriptive but not itemized. And then we have the suggested policy. Now, following the pattern that we have been using, I'm going to call for a vote. If you wish to maintain the current policy, please, that's the one that's on the screen now, LU8 as written. If you want to maintain that, please press green. If you want to discuss and further consider the LU8 suggestion, please press red. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm having to scroll here. Where's my marker? 5, 6. So it passes I am hearing that we want to discuss LU8 suggestion. So I am open now for comments on LU8 suggestion. Committee members, any comments?
Brian, this is Jim Clifford.
Yes, sir.
The difference between what we originally had and what Melissa has is Melissa has added the activity center should be located on activity center. And she also added mitigating potential impacts such as noise, traffic, and public safety. And I agree with what she has written. I think it is a better way because it catches all of our bullet points that we originally had, plus she added a couple which are very good bullet points.
Thank you, Jim. Any other committee comments?
Yes. I'd just like to say that LU8B is also rather important in this area because it is essentially the same kind of thing we use in a design review for commercial property.
Good point. Thank you, John. Other committee member comments?
Yeah, this is Evelyn. I have a couple things. I guess D is kind of what I'm wondering about, because it says residential collective homes are preferred to be located in rural activity centers. Rural activity centers are usually commercial. Therefore, can it end up getting more than what we're thinking at home because it isn't commercial, and something bigger can go into commercial? Whereas if it doesn't say that they're preferred to be in the rural activity centers, but just in residential, then it limits the size to a single family dwelling. The other thing was, I put it in the notes, and I'm starting to see the big differences in the word housing or home. It seems if it's residential collective home, then it's a single dwelling, and that's real obvious. If it's residential collective housing, then I think it gets people scared that it means a condo. The other thing is, I'm wondering if we should define a variety of housing opportunities. What is variety really mean? I mean, maybe that's scaring people too, that they're thinking, oh, well, we're putting up condos, apartments, things like this. So maybe variety could be better defined so that it doesn't scare people. I think this is scaring people. I mean, I understand what we're saying and doing, but I think the residents are getting scared by this, that we're saying, yeah, let's turn into a Flagstaff and bring all kinds of big stuff here. Whereas it's not what we're trying to say. It's just that that's what they understand.
Thank you, Evelyn. What I would comment on is that this is talking about assisted living, convalescent homes, and residential collective homes. So it's limiting the types of homes which can be developed within Doney Park. So they're not group homes. They're not, how shall I say this, halfway houses and so forth.
We understand that, but the wording is scaring the residents.
And Brian, if I could just jump in. So there,
yes.
I only put that one goal, or rather the one policy on the screen. But under that goal, there are 3 residential policies. And they specifically discuss new multiple family projects should not be approved unless already zoned for multiple family is number 7. Number 8 is the one that we're talking about. And then number 9 is talks about to maintain rural residential community character of the area. That talks about being owner occupied housing. So the goal, you have to take into context with the policies that go with that goal.
Thank you, Melissa. So I find the Melissa's suggested policy to be much more articulate and specific as compared to the one that we have discussed earlier. Let me ask once more, are there any other comments from committee members?
Yes, this is Dave.
Yes, sir.
And I agree with this. This is pretty specific. It's you read all of these things and you say, okay, I get the picture. I can make a picture in my head of what this is going to look like, and it's going to look like a lot of residential one person home, but it's built for this thing. So anyway, I think this is good.
Thank you, Dave.
Just one more, Brian.
Quickly, please, John.
Yeah, you bet. I think that Evelyn was on point about terminology. The idea of the term housing, it would be inappropriate here. The zoning ordinance definition itself uses the word home, not housing. So right. If we have housing anywhere in anything dealing with collective homes or residential collective homes, it should not state housing, it should be home. So just that may be off a little bit, but I think Melissa is probably well aware of this, of course.
So Melissa, if you will make a note that in the editing of any of these policies that we are referring to home, not to housing.
Okay, I see the word home used here.
Yes, it's used here. I'm not sure what's in LU7 or LU9.
Yeah, there's we'd have to pull those up. They're different topics.
Okay. Well, let me go now to whether we adopt the suggested LU8 policy or not.
Excuse me, Brian, I had my hand up.
Oops. Go ahead. Quickly, Bernice.
Okay, I have some questions. I know we talked about, in here it talks about putting them in the rural activity centers. And for the people that are on this call that may not know what the rural activity centers are, there's like 7 of them in the planning area.
Okay.
They're like Mountain View Market, Silver Saddle Store, the area over by Buddy's Welding. There's 7 of them, and the one over by Cromer School is reserved for county administrative and recreation and things like that. There is a provision in this area plan that those rural activity centers can be expanded to up to 5 acres per corner. Now, some of those corners now are zoned residential. So if they were to put one of these in, they would not have to go through a zoning change. Am I correct? It wouldn't have to be a commercial zoning change because the planning or the zoning code allows them on residential property.
Melissa, can you clarify on that, please?
That's right. And you can see I went back to the screen that shows the zoning. These are all the residential zoning districts in the county. And in your area, most of the zoning is AR, RR, and some G zoning. So you can see their conditional uses there. So that's right. Bernice is correct. If, you know, a residential collective home was located in an activity center on existing residential zoning, then it would still need a conditional use permit as it would anywhere else within your planning area.
But the benefit to the creator of the home would be that they could use residential property that is taxed as such instead of being taxed at a commercial rate. I also had a question about the height of these buildings, how tall they can be again. I heard
isn't that addressed under the zoning?
It is.
Okay, what is the height? Is it 40 feet?
It depends on the zone. For your residential zones, it's 35 feet.
That's still pretty tall.
Well, that's a lot of 2-story homes are actually 35 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, my home is.
Okay.
And it's very cute.
I wouldn't want to paint it. Let's see. There was another thing I wanted to ask. Is the term residential collective home in the zoning code as a home, or is it in the zoning code as housing?
Just like that. These are the terms that you see right here in the zoning code. It's a home, residential collective home.
Okay. Thank you.
This is an excerpt right from the zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Bernice and Melissa. Any other committee comments before we go to a vote on adoption, policy adoption?
I have one more question, because this is preferred to be in the RAC. Would it still be allowed to be put in any residential neighborhood?
Melissa, can you respond, please?
It could be this is setting a preference for where they would be located. Again, this is not a zoning code, but this is something then that a property owner would look at and consider in their proposal. And then, oops, sorry. So yeah, Bernice, it could be located in other places, but it would be preferred to be located. Again, this isn't a zoning code, but this is where you are establishing where, as a community, you would desire that these be located.
Can we make the language of item D stronger and say residential collective homes should be located in rural activity centers?
No, you can't.
Jim, could you clarify that for us? Because I'm murky on that point.
Sorry, it's late where I'm at. According to zoning, if I was to purchase a 5-acre residential lot in the rural activity center, I could put in a collective home. If I was to buy a 5-acre parcel wherever in Doney Park, I could put in a collective home as long as I have the proper CUP and the proper zoning for that dwelling. So we can't specifically tell them that it has to be in a rural activity center because it's a residential collective home. So it can go in a residential area.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, any other committee comments? Hearing none, I call for a vote. And if you support the adoption of the LU8 suggestion, please use green. If you do not support the adoption of LU8 suggestion, use red. And I'm scrolling through, I see 1, 2, 3. Some of you may be ahead of me, 4.
I see 6, Brian.
6, yeah, I got 5, so thank you. 6.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I see 5.
5. I'm sorry, 5.
Are we missing
I see
a vote?
5.
Okay.
We have
I did
lost.
not vote because I prefer we go back to the term group homes rather than having residential collective homes in the area.
Okay, so we have now voted and the committee has adopted the use of policy LU8. LU8 suggestion that was authored by Melissa.
Brian, at this point, then I'll need to stop sharing the screen and go back to the comments.
Yes, please. Thank you, for, committee members.
Brian, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If you do not want to say yes to a policy, please put a red no there. So when we do a count, we can get an accurate count as to the committee members who are voting, please.
So if you'll say that again, if you do not, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're telling me that if you do not support the adoption to use the red.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
Correct. That way we can get an accurate vote as that all of the committee members have voted.
Yes.
And that will show us that our 6 that are on the call have voted.
And I believe Bernice abstained on that one.
I abstained because I felt like we should take the whole term out of the area and say residential collective homes are not allowed in the area and go back to the group homes that are allowed. They're allowed anyway, but they're more regulated.
Okay. Having adopted item number, what is it, 6? Let's go to Bernice's comments now.
Are they on the screen? Are they showing?
They are on the screen.
Okay.
And Melissa, if you will please read Bernice's comment number 1. And then follow with your suggestion or the county staff's suggestion.
Okay, so number 1, I think we should discuss and find out more about the fissures in the limestone layers east of Flagstaff. This could affect group water contamination. Discharges into the aquifer from residential, commercial, or industrial waste could be a problem. And then my point was that water contamination is addressed by several of the goals and policies in your water resources chapter.
Okay. There's nothing we can really do about the fissures, the fractures in the limestone. And in fact, the water has to percolate down to the Coconino Aquifer, which is the 3rd geologic layer. But And the other thing is that discharging any commercial or industrial waste, that's controlled by the, oops, I hit the wrong button. That's controlled by the, if I am correct, the building department sanitation program. Is that accurate?
So our environmental quality department, the county's environmental quality department, is responsible for issuing the all the permits for all the wastewater systems. It's,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have just deleted myself from the discussion items. I don't know what I did.
What do you mean? You're still with us, Brian?
I am. I just haven't been able to get back to the screen. I don't know what I did. Okay, I'll get there.
We see you. Try the little view thing up on the right top.
Yeah. Okay.
And see what what you've got clicked.
There it is. Thank you, Evelyn.
You're welcome.
I'd like to say that I had a typo in that. I didn't mean that it would affect group water. I meant it would affect groundwater contamination.
I suspected that.
I believe the wastewater permits are issued by ADEQ, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality.
No, the county's environmental quality department has the authority from ADEQ. Yeah. So they've got the, yeah.
Right, okay.
So if you support further discussion on item number 1 concerning groundwater contamination, please press green. If you want to move on, please press red.
Brian, you still have a green check mark on your screen.
Oops, I do. I have to change that. Okay. If I go to full screen, I tell you what, I see 4 immediately, so it's going to pass. Do we have 5?
There are 6, Brian.
There are 6. Okay. So we'll move. We have resolved number 1. Let's move to Bernice's comment number 2. And her comment is, I will read it. I think we should heed to the spirit of the survey and those who are asking to keep the area rural by not increasing density. We have already had a lot of growth in this area and it is continuing. I think that that's been addressed several times by this committee, and since it does not address a specific item, please press green. If you want to continue the discussion on density, please press red. If you want to move on to her next item. One, 2, 3, 4.
5 red and 1 green.
5 red, 1 green.
Yes, sir.
So we will move on. Let's see.
It's number 3.
Comment number 3, we just resolved. That's the residential collective housing. So if you could scroll down, please, Melissa.
Now you're on number 4.
Number 4, again, I think it is important to look at putting something in a plan that limits ADUs to 1 per lot. This already has increased density. This is the standard now, but that could change. We need to be proactive. And Melissa, I can't read your comment because my...
Okay. Okay, so the comment I had here was that there is a new policy, LU number 9. So that's where it says LU1, that should read LU9, and I can read it. So the draft of that new policy that you addressed last time reads, to maintain the valued rural residential community character of the area plan, the community supports owner occupied housing, no more than one accessory dwelling unit per parcel, and discourages, it should say, the use of housing as vacation rental property.
Thank you. So Bernice, you have your hand up?
This has been addressed. I typed that comment, I think, before we made the change to LU9.
Okay.
So this has been addressed.
This has been addressed.
And I appreciate that.
Okay. So with your having said that, I am hearing that we can move on to your item number 5.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item number 5. Melissa, would you read that, please?
Okay. I think we need to support the area ranchers. They help preserve the forest from development and have always been an important industry in our area. The cattle also keep the grass down that fuel fires.
Okay. And the county staff is recommending no change. It's heavily supported by the comp plan and the new zoning ordinance on renewable energy standards.
Yeah, my apologies for the typo there. And the abbreviation, the comp plan, is the county's comprehensive plan.
Right. First of all, I'm not sure that we can single out a population or a job sector and say that we need to support them in the plan. I don't know if that's acceptable. I would have to defer to Melissa for that. And the cow also keeps the grass down, the fuel fires. That's, yeah. So if you, Dave Browning, I see your hand up.
Mute. Yes, I think I agree that we shouldn't single out specific uses of the land. Either that, or if we're going to make a list of what we can have. So, you know, I agree that what ranchers doing is valuable, but I don't think it belongs in this particular particular thing. So,
thank you, Dave. John Ruggles, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I will agree with Dave on that. And the comprehensive plan is very good in addressing exactly this issue. And again, the renewable energy ordinance, the same thing.
Okay. Seeing no other hands up, are there any other committee comments? Hearing none, I call for a vote. If you want to continue discussion on Bernice's number 5, please hit green. If you prefer to move on to the next comment, please press red.
Jim, you have a green check up. Okay, sorry.
Okay, I see
big fingers.
Okay. So
I see 4 red and 1 green.
Have we lost a committee member?
Jim, you haven't indicated your preference.
Yes, I did. There, 5
now
red and 1 green.
Okay.
Like I say, technical difficulties.
We understand those, Jim. Okay. So the committee votes to move on. We will move to comment 6. Comment 6 is, go ahead, Melissa. You had your marker on it.
Okay. It reads, solar and wind energy should be encouraging. Biomass is a costly big polluter and creates health problems. And my response was, again, supporting solar, wind energy, renewable energy sources are heavily supported by the comprehensive plan. And it specifically talks about supporting those industries to preserve large intact ranches. And the recently adopted utility scale renewable energy ordinance speaks directly to that. And it also speaks directly to biomass and looking for mitigation in terms of any kind of particulate emissions. So, you know, the big ranches like Babbitt Ranch, those are all outside of Doney Park planning area.
Right. So I agree with Bernice that solar and wind should be encouraged. I have done some research on biomass, and it really depends upon the technology that they're using as to whether or not they are a polluter or create health problems. It's a mixed bag. That commentary not meaning to influence votes. If you wish to continue discussion on solar, wind, and biomass, please press green.
Brian, Dave Browning's hand is up, sorry.
Oh, his hand went back up.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think this belongs. I think this is too large. You know, how we get our energy is too large for us to just put in the plan here. I think there's plenty of that going on in larger, you know, areas, and we will find out what we can do in the future. So I'm not in favor of having this.
Thank you, Dave. If you want to continue discussion on this topic, press green. If you want to move on to the next topic, please press red. Seeing a number of red. Dave Browning, I don't have a one for you. Thank you. So we will move on to comment number 7. Comment number 7, go ahead and read it, please, Melissa.
Okay, forest fire prevention should be addressed more effectively. In light of the tunnel fire, we might want to go back and look at requesting the Forest Service not allowing camping within a half mile or more of private land. And my note was that there are policies in public safety, PS number 10, and then NE number 7, natural environment number 7. And that reads, the Forest Service is requested to prohibit dispersed camping and campfires within 1 mile of private property in the interests of resource protection and urban interface fire protection. And I can read the other policy if you want.
Okay. My comment previously is that the Forest Service often posts signs as to where camping is allowed or is not allowed. And this is really a Forest Service issue from my perspective. Do I have other comments? I hear, I'm going to go to Jim first and then Bernice.
I actually went to the Forest Service and showed a friend of mine who works there, our PS10 and NE7. And he said that is a very good policy, but the Forest Service has a roadmap of accessible roads that people can use with campsites stated on them. And that is the area that the Forest Service will enforce. They cannot enforce something that the county wants because it's out of their scope as a federal entity. They have to follow the federal guidelines as to the campsites that are approved by the Forest Service. So if they're within a half mile of your property and it's on their map, the people can camp there. And that is documented on their road maps.
Thank you, Jim. Bernice, your hand is up.
Okay, I thought that we at a previous meeting had changed it so that we just addressed the campfires and still allowed the camping, or we encouraged the Forest Service to not allow campfires, where it used to be in the old area plan that we encourage the Forest Service to restrict camping and campfires. So I would like to go back to both of those and not allow camping. And is it PS6? Is that, I'm trying to look it up.
So it's number NE7 and PS 10. And so number 7 reads, again, Forest Service is requested to prohibit dispersed camping and campfires. It says both.
Okay. And then what about the other one?
10 is more broad. Hang on a second.
Because I remember Sailor talking about she likes to car camp.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before this tunnel fire. You know, I think we need to look at this. Drought is going to be long-term.
I don't disagree with that comment at all.
So number PS10 is broader, and it's under, so public safety is PS, the goal, fire and emergency response is provided in an expedient and efficient manner. And then the policy number 10 under that is interagency cooperation should be encouraged to address and adopt wildland urban interface fire prevention measures and code. So it kind of gets that broader net of doing the WUI or the wildland urban interface, and encourage everybody to, you know, at that point, do the, you know, basically do the fire prevention on your properties.
Okay, but we don't have a public safety one that says no camping or campfires within like greater than a half a mile of the residential homes?
Well, once again, we can't do that because that is federal land.
Right, but we can encourage the county can encourage the Forest Service to do that.
Well, it's in your policy under the natural environment section, under that NE.
Oh, okay. What did
7
that say?
Number 7.
Okay.
And that's the one I read earlier. I can.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we had changed that to allow campfires, but you're saying we did not?
No, it says camping and campfires currently. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I remember when we changed that.
Okay.
I'll open it right now.
Dave, let me go to Dave Browning. Dave, you just muted yourself.
Oh. Yeah, I think, no, I'll take my hand down.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, any other committee comments on Bernice's number 7? Hearing none, those who want to continue discussion of policy number 7, please use a green. Those who wish to move on, please use a red. And I'm seeing 4, 5, 6. Did I have a 6? No, I'm seeing 5.
There are 6.
Well, I'm missing one, but
Bernice, Evelyn, Dave, Brian, John, and Jim are all red.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
At this point, we have completed Bernice's comments. Melissa, it is now 7:25. What if we take a 10-minute break to let folks use the restroom, get something to drink, and we will resume at 7:35. Is that acceptable with folks?
Do you want to say resume at 7:30 because you're due to end at 8?
Okay, let's make it very quick, folks. Go. We'll be back at 7:30. If you all are back, it is 7:30. And Melissa, could we check in? Do we have folks back, enough folks back that we can continue?
I see, hold on. I only see 2 hands raised. It's actually, my clock says 7:29. Oh, there's Dave. Now you have 4. And
okay.
you. John, are you with us? John Sayers, you have a quorum.
When am I not
Okay.
with you?
Okay. If you will put your hands down unless you have a question, we'll move on to my comments on water.
Are they showing, Brian?
Yes. And I should stop eating for a minute. So I reworked my suggested edit and submitting it to the committee for their consideration. Melissa, would you please read the edit as I've submitted it to you?
Yes, and so if you can see, the edits are to existing water service goal, and the change is in red. So the water resources chapter, the water service goal, the addition is high quality potable water is available to residents of the planning area, removing the word all. So you can see the change there.
The reason I removed the word all is I'm not sure that the Doney Park Water Company can provide water service to everyone. Yes, people can drive in with water tanks and get water that way. But I felt it was a stretch to, how shall I say this, commit the Doney Park water people to provide water to all residents, some of whom are quite rural.
I agree.
Any other comments?
Yeah, this is Evelyn. After going to the meeting last night of the Doney Park annual meeting, they did state that they don't do the whole area. It's just, you know, most of it, but not all of it. So I think it's a good idea to remove all.
Thank you. Jim Clifford, your hand is up.
What are you considering high quality?
That's a very good question. I intentionally left it vague because I don't want to try to get into determining, you know, high quality to me means that you don't have the chlorinated, the halogenated carbon chemicals, and that the water is safe to drink. I'm not sure how else to state it succinctly.
Instead of putting high in there, could you just say quality potable water?
I would accept that.
Because if the word high is in there, I would think they were thinking that we have a water treatment plant out here that is being tested all the time and stuff like that, where we're coming out of wells.
Brian, I would just remind everybody, this is a goal. So your goal can be just that. It's your goal for how your water is provided and the quality of it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, independent of this committee, am concerned about the water quality here in Doney Park. And the reason is infiltration from the Wildcat treatment facility. And that's not a comment on their processing, it's a comment on their capability. They just don't have the advanced technologies that are currently needed. So I will go with high quality or quality, either one. John Ruggles, you have your hand up.
Yes, I, like Evelyn, was at the annual Doney Park board meeting. And in terms of quality, they talked about that as they do at almost every annual meeting with the public being their members of the co-op. Now, they have to meet both state and federal standards in terms of specified quality for the water. And that's covered pretty thoroughly by DPW. So
it is.
That's all I have to add to this.
Okay, thank you. Bernice?
Hey, what the heck is halogenated? And why did you start saying chlorinated and then changed it to halogenated? I really like that we don't have chlorine in our water.
Well, okay, the halogens are, it's a class of chemicals that are highly reactive, of which chlorine is one of them. You do have to use chlorine in order to control bacteria and other things, but let's not get too technical because otherwise we'll be here all night. My background is in chemistry and water.
That sounds good, thank you.
Brian, just real quickie, people should realize that under certain circumstances, Doney Park water does chlorinate parts of their system.
It does.
So that pretty much covers that, as you have said.
Yeah. So I am willing to go with Jim Clifford's suggestion to use quality potable water is available to residents of the planning area. Those of you in favor of adopting that goal, please use green. Those of you against that goal, please use red. Okay. I see 4. I'm going to scroll down real quick. 5, Jim Clifford. Oh, Jim, you don't show up on my screen. Okay. Well,
I know, I'm a yes, and I'm not seeing it on my screen either.
At least we're consistent, Jim.
I can see you all.
Okay.
You have 6 checks.
Okay. Then my edit to
Brian, just to clarify, then you are changing this to just read quality potable water?
Quality potable water.
Is available to residents of the planning area. Okay.
Melissa, I just took a bite of an apple, so I can't talk very well. Would you please read the next section?
Okay. And again, the additions are shown in red. So it's an edit to the new water resources policy number 5, which you just wrote. To the extent allowed by state law, comma, Doney Park Water Company and local, comma, state, comma, and federal water agencies should become informed and cooperate in periodic, parentheses, about 20-year evaluations of the capacity, quality, and useful life of the aquifer supplying Doney Park Timberline Fernwood.
Comments from the committee? No comments from the committee? Okay, if you would like to adopt the edit that I've proposed, please use green. And if you prefer continued discussion, please use red. Okay. And that passes. Let's see. No, it doesn't want to work.
You have 6.
We have checks. 6. Yep. Okay. Melissa, if we move on, let's see. I did not edit number 6. I edited number 6A.
That's right.
So in context, we need to read number 6. It states, Doney Park Water will continue to provide information on water quality and supply to the county regarding long-term water supplies for new subdivisions. The USGS could provide additional information and analysis. Now to the edit. Encourage the county to work with the City of Flagstaff and state water agencies as appropriate to mitigate potential aquifer contamination from wastewater treatment plants and or the Rio de Flag recharge area. Now,
Brian,
Melissa, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Well, Melissa is suggesting that the edit that I submitted as 6A become a standalone policy for water number 7.
I like it as a standalone better.
Thank you, Dave. Any other committee comments?
John has his hand up.
John, go ahead, please.
Oh, there we go. Okay, WR6, I think stating Doney Park will continue to provide information. That is an imperative. I think it should change to should.
I accept your should shall correction on will.
Yes, because that is very much the same thing. The rest, no problem. I agree completely with you. And also, what is shown as A should be a standalone as well. I think it would be provide a little more emphasis.
It does, and that was Melissa's suggestion. Let me go to Evelyn, please.
Yeah, from the meeting last night, it sounds like they either have a board or somebody who is a USGS hydrologist that works for them or is on their board or something like that.
It could well be.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. The Doney Park water is, I think, very good.
Hey, just a quick addition to what Evelyn said. He will probably be the person who will be their board chair in the near future. So it's a real good thing.
First of all, does anybody, if anybody disagrees with changing will to should, please raise your red light. Anybody disagree? Seeing none, Melissa, will you please edit that to go will to will? The will become a should.
Yes, well, I've got that note.
Thank you. And then for my suggested edit, 6A, for those who would like to accept this as a standalone policy, please use the green. If you want to reject this as a standalone policy, please use red.
Got 6, 5, 6.
Okay, so my 6A would become water regulations 7 or water resources 7 and not a sub policy with water resources 6. That makes sense? John Ruggles?
Yes, that makes sense. And I'll give you a check mark.
Thank you. And Dave, I think you were green and then just took it down. there it is. Okay. So I don't see Bernice. No, Bernice was there. Who am I missing? Jim Clifford. Okay, everybody's on board. All right, so we have now completed all of the comments from the, what do I want to say, the community meeting, the most recent one, and other additional comments. Melissa, do we need to review some of the vision statements?
You've reviewed all of the open house comments, all of the additional email comments, and then the final committee comments. So I did just want to mention that you received an email today from Vicki Parks discussing the residential collective housing and the traffic on Townsend Winona. So you all should have seen that email. But other than that, I think we can go back to the presentation and look through your agenda for tonight.
Okay. Was Vicki Parks requesting a specific action item?
What she was doing was reiterating her earlier comments.
So we have considered her comment then.
Let me just grab that. Hang on.
Okay. Bernice, I see your hand is up.
Yeah.
Let me finish with Melissa and then I'll come to you.
Okay, thank you.
I have her email. I mean, it's rather long. I could read it if you want.
Can you give us the gist of it?
You know,
okay.
Can you read it, please? Because there's people on the meeting that haven't heard it.
Okay. I cannot help but still follow up on the committee's insistence on using the term collective housing. At least now it has been limited to housing of not more than 10 persons, having lived in my residence in the rural setting since 1979. I do not want to see the door open to the obvious definition of collective housing as multiple level high rises. This is not compatible with our rural quality of life and will cause division as proved in other areas. As a longtime Flagstaff taxpaying resident, I suggest that since your word collective has been defined as no more than 10 per home, there is no need to use the worldwide term collective. So please consider returning to the term group homes, which is consistent with the intent of not having multi-level high rises or apartments, etc. And that then goes on to talk more about that comment. And the second comment was back to Townsend Winona Road. The wording inserted at the last meeting was rather carelessly written. While it may be a minor arterial, it is not intended to be a freeway for interstate commerce semi-trucks, which is why I-40 exists instead now. And then commercial travel on collector roads of Cokefield and Serviceado should not be allowed. Even the new FedEx facility should be encouraged to travel over Winona Bridge since I-40, since it is close to Loop Road. Again, local traffic, local businesses, and local delivery trucks must travel Townsend Winona Road. There is no reason Coconino County Public Works cannot work with ADOT to have ADOT discourage travel on such roads as Townsend Winona, Cokefield, and Silver Saddle. It is almost all residential land and should not be used as interstate freeway. Again, thank you all for your efforts. I hope in the final document you will adjust final definitions and terms at the will of the people who have expressed what is important to Doney Park Timberline Fernwood communities. That's it.
Thank you. That was a lot.
Yes.
My sense is that we have covered those. Comments from the committee.
Yes. It's all very good and all would be very nice to have and so on, but I think we have covered to the extent we can cover those things, because there are a lot of things that were listed that she would want to have that we can't do because it's a whole different, run by a whole different, supervisory thing. So we just can't tell other people how to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Let me go to Bernice, who I said I would come back to. Bernice, is this pertinent to Vicki Sparks' comment?
Yes, it is. And I underlined the part that says, please consider returning to the term group homes, which is consistent with the intent of not having multi-level high rises or apartments, etc. I agree with that 100%.
Okay. And so we have been through this discussion before, and the term that the county and I believe other agencies have used have been residential collective homes. And Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say if we don't use that term, then we open ourselves to not having guidance for the planning and zoning?
That's right.
Okay. And we already voted on that. So let's move on to Jim Clifford, please. And John Ruggles, I'll get to you next.
Okay.
I think since when, and I'm going back to when former Supervisor Parks talked, they are in favor of trucks from I-40 to Loop Road, the FedEx trucks, because of the switchyard that we approved through a CUP for them.
Right.
We can, since this is a county road and not ADOT, I have to put this right because ADOT still can enforce truck laws on towns of Winona because it is in the state of Arizona.
Right.
But towns of Winona is plowed and maintained by the county. So what we could do is ask the county to put up no Jake brakes allowed on Towns and Winona Road from this point to whatever point, where we would have more pull with the county than we would with ADOT. County roads may be able to do that for us. And I think that would pacify some of their noise issue that they were talking about with trucks using Jake brakes.
My guess is that the section that would apply to would be from Highway 89 down to Townsend Winona Loop Road intersection.
Correct.
Okay, let me think a minute.
You could take it all the way to I-40.
Right.
Because
they shouldn't have to use a Jake brake between Winona and Loop Road because there's no major hills.
Yeah, that's true. If we consider this, that takes us back to the transportation. Melissa, can you help me out here? Is there a policy? Do we have a policy that this would, that
I'm looking right now. Yeah, I'm looking right now. I believe there was a policy written about, and that wasn't the same term. It wasn't Jake brakes. It was another term.
Yeah.
For 89, trucks on 89. And I'm looking for that right now. What would be the other terminology? Not Jake brake or
well, they're
reverse
Jake
engine
brake.
Sorry,
reverse engine, maybe.
No,
engine brake.
Engine brake.
They call them, yeah, people call them engine brakes. The technical term is a Jake brake. It's a decompression brake.
Okay.
But 89 is a state highway, and even though it's in the county, it's maintained by the state.
Right.
Where Townsend, Winona is maintained by county road department. And I think we may have a better pull through the supervisors to get, I'm just throwing this out, to get Jake brake signs up on Townsend, Winona at Winona and at 89, coming across.
Let me go to the committee quickly and ask if the committee, if you as a committee member want to continue this discussion on inserting the no use of Jake brakes on Townsend Winona, press green. If you want to stop the discussion and move on to the next topic, press red. And where did my view go?
I see 5.
You see 5? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. With 5 green, Melissa, can you take us to bring up the policy that is most closely related to this concerning engine brakes?
I am looking for it still. Hang on a second.
Thank you.
You know, I could have sworn that we addressed this on Highway 89 in earlier discussions.
It is, and it is under community character. And I'll read it real quick and then I can pull it up. It's community character policy number 5. Encourage the Arizona Department of Transportation to install signage to prohibit truck engine braking along Highway 89 within the planning area. Now that policy could be expanded to say encourage the ADOT and the county to install signage to prohibit truck engine braking along Highway 89 and Townsend Winona.
Sounds
yes.
Good. Let me, hold on. Let me bring this back up. Okay, I'm going to scroll, so close your eyes. It'll be too fast. Okay. Okay, so it's under your natural quiet goal. Reduce effects of noise pollution to improve the natural quiet in Doney Park Timberline Fernwood. And then the policy under that, you can see number 5 is right here. So we could, Arizona and how does that read? Encourage the Arizona Department of Transportation and the county to install signage to prohibit truck engine braking along Highway 89 and Townsend Winona Road within the planning area.
Sounds good to me. Let me go to, I got to take my yes down. If you want to adopt the edit as Melissa just created for CC5, please press green. If you do not want to adopt her edit, press red. And
you have 6, Brian. You have 6 checks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get back to.
Takes a while to save this. Hang on. Let me just save this.
Sure.
My computer is ready to load. Okay. So that was the comment, the email that you had from Vicki Parks. And then Brian, I believe that covers everything. Let me go back to the PowerPoint and we'll look at what we had on there. Then we would go, the next item on your agenda is to talk about the schedule.
Wonderful. So I'll need some help here, but we have on June 7th, the Board of Supervisors has a work session. And on that work session, they have our plan plus the regional plan and the comprehensive plan. So Melissa, is this an event in which we as members of the committee of the planning committee should attend? And would we be expected to have a short presentation to the Board of Supervisors?
Well, I will have a presentation to the Board of Supervisors on these 3 topics. This is not a meeting where they'll be making any decisions. This is an update on the Doney Park Timberline Fernwood region area plan, the Flagstaff regional plan, and also the county's comprehensive plan. So they'll be getting an update on those. And it's really a kind of a preview of where the planning process is for this project. And then they'll be giving some direction on the other 2 projects, but they're open meetings.
Right.
It's not a public hearing, so it's a different format than what there would be during the public hearings.
And for the committee and the community, what time would that meeting occur on June 7th?
It starts, I believe I have to go back. I believe it starts at 1 o'clock. Okay. But they will reconvene at 1. I'm not 100% sure what time this item will be on.
Sure.
Probably closer to 3 o'clock.
So let me just share with both community and committee members that if you want to attend that meeting, you would be welcome, but please check the county
I can send
website.
a link. I can send a link to it, but just to be clear, there will be, it's not a public hearing, so they won't be taking public comments on these items at that time. They'll be, making a general call to the public at their opening session, but it's, as I said, it's a different format than a public hearing where they take specific comments on specific items.
And my effort here is to make sure that the public and the committee understand that they are welcome to attend, though they will not be speaking to the Board of Supervisors.
That's right. So yeah, and I can share links with for that.
Okay. The next event is the Planning and Zoning Study Session on June 29th. Jim Clifford and John Ruggles, can you briefly share with us the responsibility of the committee for attending or presenting at that study session?
Well, if Jim would like to speak first. Okay, I'll
go ahead, John.
Okay. Essentially, the study session is like a briefing from staff to the Planning and Zoning Commission about where and what the status of the Doney Park area plan is after we, as a committee, have finished with it. There will be no action taken by the Planning and Zoning Commission on it at that time. The Planning and Zoning Commissioners are at a study session, of course, encouraged to ask any questions they may have about the area plan and ask Melissa or staff or council about whether about what are the answers to their questions that they may have. And that is basically a bit of fact finding for the commissioners other than myself and Jim that will assist them in making a decision when it comes to a public hearing at the end of the month, the last Wednesday at the end of the month, or as scheduled, as you see on the schedule that Melissa has here. The public hearing at P&Z will be July 27th.
Okay, so at the June, what I'm hearing is at the June 29th, we would not be expected to have a presentation because the staff would be doing that. Whereas on July 27th, we as members of the committee and co-chairs would be advised to be at that meeting.
Certainly,
is that accurate?
Yeah. Because members of the commission may ask you as a person making a public comment on the area plan for your opinion or additional comments from you to answer their questions. Staff has to do this all the time.
Okay.
And Brian, to clarify, so that on July 27th at the public hearing, which is the formal public hearing, then staff won't be making the presentations. And as John said, then there will be a call to the public for comments on that. And it's a similar format that we use here. You have a 3-minute comment period.
Melissa, if somebody wants to make a comment at the public hearing, do they have to send in anything to the chair prior to the meeting to be recognized that they want to speak?
No, nothing.
Okay.
No, I know what you're thinking. Where for the in-person meetings,
yeah,
there was always a request to fill out a card.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't heard that this will be an in-person meeting yet. If that is the case, then that process will probably be reinstituted, but we haven't been using that at your virtual hearings.
Okay, I didn't know how the public comments, because I know we do have some people from the public, so they just must have to unmute and speak and do their name and address and stuff then.
The chair, Tammy Ontiveros, is very cognizant and is very careful about making sure everyone has a chance to speak.
And just so everybody knows, prior to the public hearing, the entire document will go to all of the P&Z committee commissioners, and they will have a chance to read it and review it and also make their notes on it. And so public comment is very, very highly encouraged. And please, like I said earlier, please show up, and they will listen to you. We all will listen to you.
And Jim, did you want to talk about the packet being ready the week ahead with the staff report and the?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that if you want.
Yeah. Week prior to our hearing, we get a packet from the county that has all of our items that we will be hearing at that meeting, and it'll have the staff reports. It'll have all the documentation, and all of this will have been gone over in the study session the month prior to our hearing. So they will be able to come up with questions and concerns and all of that prior to the hearing. So it's not something that we get the night of the hearing. We get it a week in advance so that we can study everything. And that's not just this one, but all of our cases that we will be hearing that evening. And legal will be there. Melissa will be there. All of the county staff who work in the background will be there. And so it's a very good evening for everyone to be there, even if the last Wednesday of every month, we encourage the community to be at the Planning and Zoning Commission, because you will find out what's happening throughout the entire county. And then if there's something on there that you want to speak on, when we ask for public comment, then you can speak on it.
And Jim, I did want to elaborate on the noticing part of this. So because it is a formal public hearing on July 27th, then there will be the wide noticing, and we do plan on doing the wide noticing out to the community with it'll be a smaller postcard with a postcard mailing, and then, you know, the legal noticing, publishing of the notice. So that will be out there, and we'll also send a link. So the packet and the staff report and the entire agenda will be on the Agenda Center the week ahead. So by July 20th.
And it's also online for people to download if they want to. Is that correct?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm hearing an encouragement for both community and the committee members to attend the session.
Absolutely.
Bernice, you have your hand up?
Yes, Will, during the July 27th public hearing, the noticing for that is a week before, correct? And it will be, all the documents will be posted on the website?
They'll all be on the website. The noticing is actually at least 15 days prior to the hearing.
Oh, okay. When will the actual draft area plan be posted so that the public can view it?
So my goal is to get it up there actually before the P&Z study session. There are some loose ends that need to go, as you know, it's needs to be, some of the text sections need to be completed, and I'm waiting for some updates. But the goal is to get it up there by June 29th. There, you know, the goals and policies are not changing after you've made any, you know, your final edits from tonight. Those will be the final goals and policies, but we need to get the final text changes polished up. And then just a final word on the formatting. After the document is approved, then we will have it, you know, professionally formatted and with pictures added, and, you know, have the layout done the way the other plans have been.
Okay, will you please send us a notice when that comes up on the website? And that'll be on our county website, right? For
right.
The BTTF.
That's right.
Plan.
Okay, thank you, Bernice. John Ruggles?
Just one little addition to that. This is something that is that Melissa has to deal with in terms of the posting for something like the study session that goes with that Planning and Zoning Commission hearing on that date. That it requires that it be posted a minimum of 24 hours prior. So you can see what her deadline is. If let's say she didn't get it done then and couldn't be posted, then it really could not be discussed under those conditions. But I know how Melissa works on this, and she won't have any problem meeting the deadline. So that's the goal. It'll be posted a minimum of 24 hours ahead of time, and we will proceed as we normally do.
And just to put a little more, to clarify that a bit more, actually state statutes on this type of project requires at least 15 days prior to the public hearing. So yeah, the 24 hours is something that we definitely adhere to in terms of meeting notices, but ARS, or Arizona Revised Statute, actually requires a bit more. So we'll have to be following those.
Thank you. So Melissa, where do we go from here? And what is the responsibility of the committee at this point?
Well, I will have to say that after how long has it been? It has been about 2 years.
Almost 2.5 years.
I would have to say that the next meeting we plan for is a celebration. So,
okay.
You know, you all have done an amazing amount of work, as Doug Meyer acknowledged earlier, and you know, it's been a challenging but rewarding process. And I think that at this point we will make sure that, I mean, another meeting is your choice at this point, but you've done, you know, by this time now, you've reviewed the plan inside and out, the goals and policies, and now it's time for you to take a little bit of a break and relax. And then we'll do all the work behind the scenes and get these, in the formal noticing and everything on track for where it needs to go to get this document to public hearing. So if you all would like to meet again, we can certainly schedule another meeting. If you have questions after, you know, for instance, the planning and zoning study session or the public hearing, we can certainly, you know, get together for another meeting and talk about those. So, but at this point, and it is kind of, you know, it's kind of different being virtual, but yeah, my next slide was a thank you slide. So this is really open for discussion, Brian, if you want to have another meeting or just want to be kept apprised of the upcoming hearings.
I'll state my personal preference. That is that you continue to inform us of when the meetings will occur, what will be done at those meetings, and who should be attending and what their role might be in attending. I don't see a need for another meeting except perhaps following the study session on June 29th to see if we need to clarify anything prior to the public hearing on July 27th with the planning and zoning. Does that sound reasonable? And with no comment, I can see it is.
I see two Evelyn. People have their, Evelyn and Bernice have their hand up.
Yeah, let me go to Evelyn, then I'll go to Bernice.
Okay, I have a suggestion that I'd like to talk to some of the committee members about, as far as something that I thought of while we were going through all of this. And just a suggestion, I thought it would help me out a lot if we were to change the format a little bit. But in the beginning, when we started this, we got all the different comments from all the different departments. And we digested it all, and it was new to us, and it was a little confusing, but we were digesting it. Then we started on the goals and policies. And then it got confusing. It's like, ooh, what did that person from finance say? Or, oh, what did that person from such and such a place say? So my suggestion would be is to have, when we're going to approach a particular item, have the discussion with the presenter and then go into the goals and policy. So that way it's fresh in our mind what the presenter presented. Because I know a lot of times I personally was going, oh my gosh, what did that person say? And, it had happened a year ago. So to keep it fresh in our mind, it seems like, at least for me, because I don't remember really well everything I hear, if we were to have a presenter and then work on the goals and policies for that particular thing. So then it's fresh in our mind. And then when we look at it later, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense because this is what they said and all that. That's just a suggestion.
Thank you, Evelyn. Let me go to Bernice, please.
Okay, I know this is probably going to be brought up again because people have been calling me about this. I know that this area plan is an amendment to the comprehensive plan. My question is the comprehensive plan a binding agreement to where it obligates the planning and zoning and board of supervisors to use it for a guide or not.
If I could respond quickly, my understanding is that this is a document that advises planning and zoning. This is not an amendment to the comprehensive plan, but it falls within the purview of the comprehensive plan so that the two need to work together. But this is not an amendment to the comprehensive plan. Is that
Brian,
accurate?
if I can actually just jump in, it is actually an amendment to the comprehensive plan. But they are both policy documents, and so they both advise Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Supervisors.
Okay, is it binding in any way?
It's a policy document, so it's not an ordinance like the zoning ordinance is binding that way. So these are policy documents that are reviewed again for land use decisions, subdivisions, rezonings, conditional use permits.
I'd like to add one little thing to that. If you actually read ARS 11-804, the word guide is used. That says it fairly well, I think.
Okay, because people were saying, well, this doesn't matter anyway. So it doesn't matter what's in it because P&Z and the BOS can do whatever they want anyway. But I don't want all of us to have wasted 2.5 years and countless hours on something that's not going to make a difference.
So if I could just, and I had these slides kind of in the background to show in case these questions came up. So these are the criteria that must be met to approve this amendment. The comprehensive plan and the area plans are very much used by the commission, planning commission, and the board of supervisors, as well as a regional plan. So every time, and you'll see in the staff report, we'll go through the comprehensive plan goals and policies and discuss how the amendment to the area plan meets or doesn't meet those goals and policies. So it's taken very much at face value by the board of supervisors and the planning and zoning commission when these projects are presented for approval. It matters a lot. So again, this is, and then the slide before this just shows, this is off of our website. You can go in and download the comprehensive plan and then this nice companion guide, which is a summary of the goals and policies. And this is, you can see over here, the tab. This is just a screenshot from our website where you can go right to our current project.
Thank you.
So let me go to Jim Clifford, please.
I'm just going to use the Belmont area plan as a part of this. There's a lot of development going on out in Belmont right now. And when we look at those cases, we make sure that what we are looking at is in the scope of the Belmont area plan. And that's how we make our decisions. If it's in the area, we can't go outside of those parameters. And that, so we use these as guidelines when we do a CUP or a zone change. If it's part of the area plan, then we will approve it. And if it's not part of the area plan, it probably will not get approved. So yes, this document is used a lot at planning and zoning.
Thank you, Jim. Was there anyone else that had
one more here?
One quickly.
Well, I just want to add to Jim Clifford's statement a little bit in that the use of both the area plans and the comprehensive plans, that when they are looked at the Planning and Zoning Commission level and the Board of Supervisors level, that those are the guidelines that have to be used in accordance with state statute to evaluate the action that is being taken. And the basis for that are findings of fact. And if you do not follow those guidelines and state very clearly how your decision relates to both of the plans and follows the findings of fact requirement, that leaves the county open to legal action if the applicant does not like the decision or feels that they have been treated unfairly. So you want to talk about some pretty good guidance? Well, think about that aspect of it.
Will the survey be printed in the final document?
That's going to be, that was listed as an appendix.
Great.
So that, then the P&Z commissioner and the Board of Supervisors could go back and look at the survey in addition to the documents. Okay. Any other comments from the committee? Let me move to public comments. Members of the public, if you have a comment, please unmute yourself and share with us. Hearing no comments from the public. Any final thoughts from the committee members? Yum, yum, yum. Thank you for the pizza, everybody.
Just one thing. Evelyn. Just one thing.
Okay, one thing.
I also want to say thank you to everyone else on the committee for their persistence and their ability to stick with it. It's been just, well, couldn't ask for more. Let's put it that way.
John, I agree 100%, and that was going to be my concluding comment. So any other committee comments?
Brian, this is Jim Clifford. I also want to thank everybody, and I know not all of our committee members are here. But one thing is, when this goes to planning and zoning, John and myself will be asked, will have questions asked of us also. So we will be able to speak on it prior to with the other commissioners. So it's not like it's fallen on deaf ears here.
Thank you for making sure that that will happen. And I assumed it would, but I appreciate your making that statement very clear. Well, in conclusion, I want to thank Melissa. I want to thank the county staff, all members. I'm not going to go through all of your names because I'll forget someone. I also want to thank the committee, the community, because there have been community members who have been with us quite a bit. And your input, we've listened to it. You've guided us. And I greatly appreciate those of you who have taken time to comment once, twice, or several times. And so to everyone, thank you very much. And I think I saw a hand up. Let me go to Bernice quickly, and then we'll conclude with Melissa.
Yes, I'd like to thank the community a lot. As you know, there's not that many on here, Russell and Doug especially. And Ken Lorton's been on many of these calls too. And whoever's at 526-2327. Oh, I think that's Evelyn. Oh no, that's not Evelyn. But whoever is on the committee meetings, I really appreciate you taking your time to come. I know this has been a long and grueling process at times, and I think it's all going to be worth it when we come up with a document that is going to help preserve our community and our lifestyle and the forest and the dark skies and you know, keep the traffic down and all that good stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernice. Let me go to Melissa, please.
Thanks, Brian. I just wanted to mention too that I did have an email earlier from Supervisor Vasquez's office that they were not attending tonight because they were at another meeting. And then also to follow up on Evelyn's comments, I think that, you know, if the committee is open to having a final meeting, you know, either between public hearings or after, it would be good to do a, you know, kind of a round robin concluding, I guess, critique on, you know, getting your feedback on the process so we can improve next time.
Melissa, you went to where I was going to go after your comment. So kudos to you. Yeah, I personally would like to see us have a meeting. I'm not sure what the best time is. I was thinking shortly after the planning and zoning public hearing, and then ask everyone to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting when they vote to adopt it, or their public hearing on it, so that we can share if there are questions. Followed by a final meeting where we don't have to talk policy, we can just have fun. Happy hour, that's exactly right, Evelyn. So,
Brian, is that a meeting you wanted to try to select a date for now?
I didn't have a date in mind, but I thought, well, since we have the committee here, we might as well set the date, hadn't we? Because what is it? July 27th is the planning and zoning meeting. Mm-hmm. So would it be well to meet just before then, shortly before then?
Before their meeting?
Yes, to see if we have any questions or any anything that we need to refresh ourselves on or review, or are we better to meet afterwards? I honestly don't know. Or should we wait for the Board of Supervisors meeting? I'm open to suggestions.
I would suggest that we do it after the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing.
Okay.
Before the Board of Supervisor hearing, because when you have public comment at Board of Supervisors, you could bring up anything that you would like, any questions that had come up could be brought up to the Board of Supervisors.
I would agree with Jim Clifford completely on that.
So it sounds like we're talking an August time, because that would be July 27th. What about August 18th? That work for folks?
That works for me. Yeah.
Will this go to the Board of Supervisors in August? Is that what the date was?
No, that would be September 13th.
September. Okay, yes. So in August. Either August or the first part of September.
Yep.
I would suggest doing it in August, mainly because the board packets are due so early. And if there's any particular item that needs to be highlighted in the packet and in the staff report, it would need to be, I'm just looking at the calendar now, it probably needs to be prepared no later than the August 23rd.
So I had suggested August 18th or 11th, either one.
I won't be here the first 2 weeks of August.
Okay.
But you can meet without me.
We wouldn't know where to go.
Sure you would.
So I propose August 18th, 5 p.m. And the location to be determined, whether it's a Zoom meeting or whether we meet in person, perhaps at a fire station. So if you want to meet August 18th, please use green. If you want to meet on a different date, please use red.
I see 5 greens, 6 greens.
6 greens. Did Bernice vote? She
yes,
did.
You got 6 greens.
So let's go with August 18th.
Brian, I know that the Cokefield Road Fire Station is open for meetings. Maybe you all could decide now if you wanted in person or virtual.
I personally would prefer in person.
So would I.
Do
That
any
sounds good.
Is this going to be committee members only, or is the public going to be invited?
Good question, John.
I think all of your meetings have been open to the public.
They have.
Even though this one has already gone through P&Z?
Yeah, that's the question. Are we a legally constituted committee after that?
I know, that's why I was asking that.
You're still a committee until the plan is adopted.
Okay.
So it is a public meeting.
It is a public meeting. Yep, that's the answer I wanted. It is a public meeting, so yep.
Okay. But we're still on for August 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And let's tentatively say at the Cokefield, Cokefield fire station, if we can get that building.
And I believe they're set up for the hybrid option, so we can do that for people that prefer to join online.
That was a little bit of a problem at the annual meeting for Doney Park Water, but they made it work with the audio portion of it.
What do you mean? It was at the fire station? It wasn't?
Yes.
It didn't work well?
It was a hybrid. However, technical difficulties prevented the video portion of it from functioning correctly. So the online part was strictly audio.
Well, we'll do the best we can. Do we want to get, what about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock? 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock on August 18th?
Doesn't matter to me.
How about 6?
Are we going to do a 2-hour or a 3-hour?
We're going to have fun.
Okay.
So
6 o'clock. That'll give people time to eat before they get there.
Okay, good. You don't want the dog to bring pizza, Jim?
You know, I was thinking if somebody wanted to donate some meat, I would smoke it on my smoker.
Let's think about that. So anybody that has meat that they'd want to donate and have Jim smoke on his smoker, why, get a hold of him, please.
I just hope somebody can bring this dog along.
That's your job, Melissa.
That's not your dog?
No, it's not my dog. My dog's cuter than that.
Oh, come on now. Well, thank you, everyone. And I greatly appreciate the dedication of all the committee members and as well the community members. So I look forward to seeing you on August 18th. And between now and then, take care of yourselves.
Good night.
Okay,
good night.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone else, and good night.
Good night,
everyone.